Pneumacon. What did I miss?
Oh please, you didn't even drive to Detroit.
I had a lot of fun. Anyways, I'm gonna think about what to customize for this month.
Do you even know what month it is? Also, Godzilla's birthday just passed. He's now 70 years old, or 71 by the time this video comes out.
What?
When are you going to do something for Anus Anus?
What is it? What? I said, what is it? Oh, that just scares you. You mean the man in the suit? Oh, no, not him. Not him. Not this time. Although we should probably do a video about him someday. While you're pondering upon making the man in the suit, why don't you just focus on that guy? Oh, that's right. Goji! That isn't Godzilla theme song. Sorry, can't play it. Although I probably should end this intro because this intro is already getting way too long.
Hello dragons, I'm back with another video here, and it hasn't been that long since my last video. Feel like this is an achievement! Enough of that, I will be pulling out the doll that I'll be working on today. Just look at her, my very first 17-inch doll that I've been working on. And boy did I work on her for a very long time, and you'll see why in a moment why the project taken so long. But first, let's start with putting that hair up and cutting all of that hair off. I find it's easier to put the hair up than just leaving it down. It's easier for me to cut the hair off like that. Anyways, once all of that hair is removed, I removed the head off camera because the doll is way too big. I needed to do it with a huge pot of boiling water, so yeah, it wasn't going to work on camera. But instead of working on the head right away, I went straight back to the doll. And here's the reason. I had a plan for this doll to be posable way back at the beginning. I was doing a trick that I learned online to tighten up the joints of the doll with super glue. It didn't work for long, like my college degree burning in the background. But then again, it was never meant to be. After that useless point of joint fixing, I wish it was that easy. It was time for me to once again ignore the head and go straight to destroying the doll. Don't worry, it gets even more chaotic as this video goes.
Oh, look at that! Is that chaos?
I destroyed the doll more. At this time, I was still trying to figure out how I was going to make this doll a posable doll. Speaking of, it seems that I've already did the head somewhere. Oh, wait a minute. No. Now I'm doing the head by removing the factory paint and even shrinking the doll's head. Guess shrinking doll's head are a thing now for me. Next, I decided to... Wait a minute. Something doesn't feel right.
That's not the big G!
If you're confused, I'm confused as well. Let me explain. Do you remember Rena from my previous video where I made two dolls in that one? Well, this 17-inch doll was supposed to be Rena. This doll was given to me by my niece, and she was missing a hand when she first came in, which inspired the design for Rena. That's why this 17-inch was going to be turned into Rena. However, I already did a video about Rena and Leva, and I don't want to do that again. So I'm going to be turning it into something else. Rena and Leva are happily on the top shelf, so I don't have to worry about them anymore.
Oh, wasn't that fun? I think the most logical thing we could do is just jump straight into the future. Wait, no, not straight. Okay,
Jumpy time! This is where I scrapped the old idea and went on to my new idea. At this point, I still wanted it to be a posable doll, but after working on Rena and Leva, I didn't want to go through that process again. Maybe I should have. So, I sculpted, then destroyed, then sculpted again, and then destroyed until I found what I thought I liked, and then I reshaped it again and then sculpted all over again. And then destroyed it and sculpted again, and this process went on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
It's supposed to be simple. It was supposed to be simple. Have I seen this before?
Instead of me going insane over how the body looked, I decided to go ahead and work on the feet for a while, and I do have some regret over the feet, but not too much. I think I pretty much made them a bit smaller than I wanted it, but I'm not too angry about it. I only recorded one set of feet because trying to work on both of them on camera would have been a nightmare. And of course I'm using polymer clay for this as well. It made it easier for me. I decided it was best to build up the bulk for the foot first before I move on to the detail work. And I really wish I took the time on the detail because, you'll see later. Let's just say that some of the details are not the greatest. And I like this foot better than the other one, so yeah, so that. Once I added the final detail and placed it back into the oven for a final bake, it was finally time to add the feet to the lower part of the body. And let's just say, this is where the majority of my problem happened. Well, more problem happened later, but this is the start. Look, I'm trying here, guys. This is the least of my problem.
Where am I gonna put this?
I set the body aside to let it cure overnight, and while that is happening, it's time to finally for me to work on his tail. However, before we get to the tail, let's take a quick break from the video.
Let's take a quick moment and a break from my video to look at my link tree. Here, with all of everything that I have on my social media. Everything behind me that you can see is everything that I have, like my YouTube channel, my social media, my Etsy store, anything that you guys can look into. The link to all of my social media will be in the description below or on my YouTube channel banner. Thank you guys again for the support, and I'll see you guys back with the video. We're not done yet, so come on, let's go back.
Now, where were we? Ah, yes, of course. I was working on this piece of trash. And why am I calling this trash and not a certain person trash? Well, I strongly believe that it was because of the clay I was using. I don't like colored clay, guys, and I know there are people out there who does. But I'm just not one of them. How do people like Carrie's Cuttlefish make amazing things with color clay? And color clay to me is like my relationship with math.
I have depression.
People who can work with colored clays are amazing and have the skill to not only work with this clay, but also have the very patience with it. Me, colored clay always crack and break on me no matter what I do. And yes, I will admit that I have had some headache with some other clay that I have used, like polymer clay, cast clay, epoxy sculpt, and air dry clay. But colored clay? It always have given me much worse than a headache. It always gave me a migraine, which is why I'm using up my color clay right now, so that way I don't have to use it ever again. I don't want it here. I need it gone. Get rid of it. Goodbye. And yes, I know that I use colored clay for the feet as well, but let's just move past that part and never... think about it again. Shh. I did show some detail work on the camera, but I did the rest off camera, because let's face it, I don't think you guys want to watch me spending hours sculpting the tail on camera, unless you really, really wanted that. Next up, I struggled to put the tail onto the body of the character because I have problems. Next, I added the upper part of the body to this doll, and this is where all of my second part of the problem started happening. You see, just like the beginning of this video, I had very different idea for this doll. And now that my concept art for this doll have changed, I started even making changes to the doll as well. I started with the buckling and adding in the glue. I quickly realized that the shape of the doll is all wrong.
Come on, let's keep singing!
Ignoring the body shape and moving to the arms. I needed to attach the arm, but the camera was facing the wrong way. Oops. As I pulled the doll off even more, I started to realize my mistake. But there's no going back. No, it's not what you think.
Go away!
As I'm bulking up the body and feeling really weary, I realize how much I'll tail suck right now. I can't sing to save my life. I added the detail with air dry clay because I was really low on my current clay. I did use super glue real quick to glue in some of the cracks. And boom!
What was that?
This is weird. The doll is now standing on a wood with a stick between it. The real reason why I did this sooner than later was because the doll was so heavy, it was cracking on its own feet. I mean, that would be accurate to what would happen if Godzilla was...
Oh, look at that! Is Godzilla up there?
Ah! 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 Ah!
After stabilizing him onto his throne, time to move on to the detail. Yes, more sculpting. Did I tell you I did a lot of sculpting in this video? And why I sculpted even more detail, my bedroom keeps changing over time. Oh wait, we're not there yet. There we are, and now I'm back with working on the shoulder? This nightmare never ends. This is what I get for doing projects that have so much detail in them. Why do I do this to myself? By the end of this video, you'll be amazed on how this doll went from this to this. Time really flies when you're not paying attention.
Remember, we're fangen nach sich, ja, wat ik zo het snel is nog exalted, sneezed with no handstick, ja, what forgiven.
Now finally time for me to add in the detail on Godzilla themselves. Let's face it, this was fun to do, but also time consuming. To speed things up, I decided to use polymer clay, especially using the last of the color, because let's face it, I wasn't going to use it for anything else. But Dragon, how are you going to be baking this huge doll in the oven, you may be asking? Well, you don't.
What? No oven? That's fine. I'll just get rid of this one.
In order to bake the clay onto the doll without using the oven, I used my heat gun to bake the polymer clay. You can do this, however, I do recommend to have the heat gun away from the doll and to bake it several times just to make sure the clay is truly cooked. Because if you don't, your clay will pop off like those stupid pop-up toys that I had when I was a kid. But also, I would recommend adding epoxy sculpt on top of the doll first before adding in the polymer clay because, well, the heat gun could definitely melt the plastic and you don't want that happening. So, yeah, be smart and safe, not, moving on. There will be some changes later on, but that's later, this is now. And so, I'm gonna be working on Godzilla's back. Godzilla isn't Godzilla without her spine, now is she? Yeah, this will change later on, but I'm working on it. But I'm working with what I got, guys, okay? Speaking of those changes, I need to get started with the head before making those changes. First, let's grab out the head. This head have seen many things. I place it on a stick after defeating my enemies in battle. I get back into the sculpting phase again and adding the very important detail to their face. But let's not forget the other important thing. Teeth. Godzilla needs his teeth after all, and so I added them in. Those pointy and very sharp teeth that I made with epoxy. Whoops, there go those stars. I'll put them back. And during this sculpting, I finally ran out of epoxy sculpt that I've been using this entire video. And this batch is, well...
Why does it feel like rubber?
I wanted to try out the new epoxy sculpt to see which one I would recommend if the epoxy sculpt that I like isn't available. And for this brand right here, I don't like this one. I hate this epoxy. It's hard to use sometimes and it's sticky. But just like the black epoxy sculpt, I learned how to use this brand. Still hate it though. And now, finally, what feels like years have gone by, I can finally paint this whole piece. Yes, finally, after all this time, we are now onto the painting process.
Shut your fucking mouth!
I, at at first needed to add a layer of gray paint to this guy, so I did that off camera with my gray spray paint. And then I proceeded to add in the color that I wanted to add. And wait a minute, this isn't Godzilla color, he's gray! Well, you'd be right about that, but he's also brown as well. You see, when Toho was building the original Godzilla suit, they made that suit brown, which was Godzilla's true color. But because the movie was in black and white, fans started associating him with the gray monotone color that we've seen him in many movies. Even the most recent MonsterVerse movie had Godzilla in his gray tone. The only time I actually remember Godzilla returning to his true color was in 2023, Godzilla Minus One. It was a recent movie that came out, actually a couple of years ago. He was also his original color for his 70th anniversary Godzilla monster art figurine that I have right here. So I'm going with his true color this time around and not with gray tones everybody knows him by. Just so we're clear on that. So after painting and body blushing this guy, yes, this guy is really heavy, it was now time to work on the base. But what about his hands? We'll get to that later. The base was a bit of a struggle because, well, the first attempt didn't work out the way I wanted it. I wanted Godzilla to be stomping through an entire city with a down train line, and I even had plans for Godzilla to be holding a train in her right hand. But, well, yeah, I wasn't liking how it turned out, and also the board kind of warped as well whenever I put down the plaster. And I kind of panicked, thinking that I had ruined my whole work. But the next day, I came back and I got right back to work. My first attempt failed. My second attempt was a huge success. Even with a few minor hiccups, I still think that my second attempt was a huge success. I decided to make rocks, so I pulled out everything that I needed to make rocks and got to work. Yeah, my new idea is that I was thinking that Godzilla would be rising out of the ground like he had done in Godzilla vs. Mothra and the MonsterVerse. So it's kind of going with that idea. But I did the rest off camera, so I went back to the plaster and added it back to the base. And I kept adding more plaster after plaster, even more plaster. I continued to add more plaster to the base until everything fell into the void. Once I added plaster to places that needed it, I painted the rock, which I did off camera. I proceeded to add grass to the base, and this was the exciting part. I even added sand as well, and I even added both sand and grass to Godzilla, and I needed to cover that up somehow. Let's take a break from the base and move back to working on Godzilla hand. It's that time again, say it with me, more sculpting.
You know, there's so much sculpting in this video and less painting. Man, I wish there was something in this world that could help me with, my art project and lessons sculpting, and I could get some more painting.
Hi, I'm Mike.
Time to put the hand all together to declaw those fingers. And I also need to stab into it. Oh look! This time I used a drill instead of fire, and a very hot pokey thing.
Or did I?
I did grab out a epoxy sculpt for a few things, which of course you can't see. Look, I was trying to make a very nice transition here, guys. I forgot how to be a YouTuber. When I was done sculpting, I painted this symbol that Godzilla will be holding. If you can see the symbol and recognize it, you just get a point. I don't know what to tell you. And now, the moment you have been waiting for. The moment has finally arrived for me to do the face-up for this character. Yeah, it took me way too long to get to the face-up. I was thinking about doing it sooner, but I was pretty scared that I would cover it up. Now I'm thinking that I should have done it a lot sooner than later. Oh well, can't redo it. It's done. What's done is done. Anyway, I used my favorite gouache to paint the eyes, and then boom! Background change! And then after that, I added in the detail on Godzilla's face, including a blind eye, to go for the Godzilla GMK look, but I don't think I got it across. Maybe I should have added blue instead of red, but I did give Godzilla his golden yellow eye, so there we go. Then I added in the hand and even sculpted the rest of her arm. And then I proceeded to paint over it after I've covered up the entire body just to protect the rest of the paint up job that I have done so I don't have to do everything all over again. With that, I added the last few details to the base and glued in the stone that Godzilla will be holding in his hand. And before, I called this project done. thank you dragons so much for watching, and if you guys like this video, consider commenting and sharing this video, or just subscribing to join the Dragon Kingdom. The project was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do another. Although it might be a while, because... where the heck am I going to put this?